What's the deal, everyone? I have to shoot a tiny house today, and I keep getting a lot of questions from y'all, which Insta360 is the best, especially if you're starting off. Well, I got behind me three different cameras. I've got the One RS, 1-inch 360 edition, long name. I also have the Go3 and I have the X3. And I'm gonna be using them all on this tiny house so you can get a good judge and figure out which one is maybe the best for you. Here we go, let's turn around real quick. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the camera down right here, and I'm just kind of gonna go around and turn on the lights, move some things, adjust some things, and then we'll get to it, right? There we go. I think, let's see. I think we're about ready. So I'm gonna take the same rotation. I'm gonna do it once with all the lights off and then once with all the lights on so we can check out color contamination versus light and dark and all that jazz. So we'll have every scenario for all the cameras. And I'm gonna roll with the Go3 first. All right, so let's first start off and say that in order to record in 50 frames per second, I had to shoot the One RS in 3K. Here we go. For this one, we're gonna go to video mode and we are gonna go to 4K, 3K 50. I didn't realize this one only went to 3K 50. So just in terms of pure base settings, the X3 is already a step ahead of both the others. Yeah, X3, Go3, let's go. While the One RS does shoot in 6K, in order to get anything faster than 30 frames a second, you have to go to 3K, even though it does offer 4K. And that sits right in between the 4K of the X3 and the 1440 of the Go3. A lot of threes. The physical act of shooting with these three cameras would hands down win for the Go3. Having that flip out screen made the entire process way easier. One thing that was weird about using the Go3 compared to every other camera I've honestly ever used, the lens was not in the center, so the camera I had to adjust over a slight bit, and that takes some remembering to do on site, and obviously by the footage I was not adjusting too well. All three of these cameras perform better with the lights on than with the lights off. No big surprise there, especially considering the smaller sensor sizes, they always do worse in low light. And shooting at a higher frames per second in this scenario means it's heavily compensated with software and cranking that ISO up. But all three also perform better in terms of color with the lights on, and that was the big surprise to me. I'm sure it has a lot to do with that compensation I was just talking about. But just letting you know that once the lights were on, all three cameras performed better and the colors looked better. I ended up going back inside and shooting with each of the cameras one more time with the lights on and back to their highest capture quality at 30 frames a second, which this time gave the One RS a chance to catch up because at that 3K 50 frames per second, man, it was surprisingly at the end of the pack. So after all those tests and edits, which one would I choose right now? Well, first let me throw in a caveat and say that it would actually be between two. The Go3 would be my #1 choice. Yes, the quality ended up being the worst of all three cameras. Unless of course you're talking about the One RS in 3K mode like I did, but that would actually be the worst. Either way, it's also the most user-friendly of the cameras. It is so easy to use, and it's the most versatile of all these cameras. Not only can you take it out of the box and make it smaller and fit just about anywhere, the sheer number of uses and super small price tag associated with the camera makes it a no-brainer because it is the cheapest of the three. It did not show as wide a view as the other two cameras, and the video quality was lower, and it had more distortion. But that benefit of the flip-up screen, which made it way easier to effectively use for this purpose on site, not only that, but not having to go into the Insta360 studio to readjust angles, well, that had to do with both the X3 and the One RS in the video shooting mode, so it was a big win for the Go3. Now, if I was picking a camera specifically for this purpose of shooting interiors, I would probably pick the X3 over the One RS. This is a big shocker for me. Every single stat from the One RS on paper is better than the X3. Its screen is much larger. It has specific modes for shooting like this that the One RS did not. The 150-degree single lens shooting mode in particular. If you've seen any of my last few videos, I've actually been using this as a secondary camera for another angle in my videos just to toss it up a bit. This is one feature I wish the One RS had because of those larger sensors, but for some reason it's only available on the X3. Shooting this mode once again allows for better framing on site and the reduction in post-production time because you don't have to go back in like you do with the other 360 video modes and reframe it all. Now, once I cranked up to shoot in 6K 30 frames per second on the One RS, it had the highest quality output of all three cameras. But the tiny screen on the back and no way to shoot in a single lens mode like a traditional camera made both shooting on site and the post-production side of it more difficult and time consuming. All around, it was more difficult to use this camera than the other two, but the final output quality was better when all three were put to the highest quality and lowest sharpening and log or flat profile, depending on which of the three cameras I'm shooting on. I've shown you all the footage along the way, so I'll let you decide which camera will suit your needs better, depending on what purpose you actually need it for. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you to the members supporting this channel's growth and the community in the process. As always, keep rocking and rolling, enjoy what you're doing, make smart business decisions, and if you own these cameras, let me know which one is your favorite and why in the comments down below. Catch you next time. Man. Big surprises on this one. I thought the One RS was going to win all the way around since its sensors just outperforms everything else. But hey, what can I say? The X3, I like it. And it's waterproof. I didn't even mention that in this. This one has water resistance that the One RS doesn't have unless you buy an extra cage. It's smaller, which could be a good thing, I guess, depending on what you're doing. Yeah, X3, big win here. Big surprise. Catch you next time. Peace.